Remember, it was the social media that was also misused by many, and both from the Hindu and the Muslim community's side, for inciting the riots on the ground as well. Now, the Supreme Court has come down heavily on the hate speech. Supreme Court has said, cannot justify hate speech by any community. This, remember, is in the backdrop of there were videos that have come out. Now, whether it was a Bittu Bajrangi or a Mohammad Samar, both had put out videos in ways that could attract crowd, that could incite hate and violence, and we did see a lot of that impacting on the streets as well, where there were allegedly messages sent that the crowd must gather, it must protest, it must respond. And now the Supreme Court, coming down heavily on the hate speech, has said cannot justify hate speech by any community. There is a need to sensitize police force as well on how to get these cases resolved. Remember that many are questioning the police deployment, which was not in the best measure when the VHP Shobha Yatra was being taken out through a Muslim-dominated areas where the violence was first reported from, that the stones were pelted on the Yatra. Many had to take refuge in a nearby temple. That also faced an attack. One was a Bittu Bajrangis, I'm coming to Mewat, Goli pe Goli Chalegi, and one was a Mohammad Samar who said, whole Mewat must come out to protest. We will all be there to respond and react. So there were in many ways these videos and counter videos before the Yatra, and then we've all seen what happened on the ground. Kanu Sarda is joining me. She's the legal correspondent for India Today. Kanu, good morning. Now, how has Supreme Court taken the cognizance in this case with regard to the social media? Because a lot of violence was on the streets. So why is social media or the hate speech becoming the main issue?
Hi, good morning, Pooja. Well, the Supreme Court was handling the batch of petitions which are dealing with hate speeches across the country, and it was the litigation is pending since 2022. We have got a Tehsil Poonawala judgment in which clearly lot of measures have been directed by the Supreme Court to all the states to monitor these hate speeches. So the Supreme Court was constantly monitoring all of this. And when this no violence had occurred, some Muslim side have moved to Supreme Court asking for protection, asking for law and order law and order management. After that, Supreme Court was hearing the matter, and Supreme Court had categorically marked that the police needs to be sensitized to the situation, because not every case can be monitored by the Supreme Court like this. So so the police needs to understand that how people are suffering because of non-registration of FIRs, how police is not doing enough for curbing these kind of hate speeches. So the remarks from the Supreme Court comes because every petition, every hate speech case is been coming to the Supreme Court, and also to the fact that the hate speeches are still being made despite clear directions from the top court regarding that. Interestingly, this
yes.
no violence thing, the Supreme Court on earlier this week has clearly directed the administration to be vigilant, also videograph the entire sequence of events and everything. But
so there will have to be evidence, Kanu. Yes, you're telling us very crucial. There have to be evidence that will come forth, and social media evidence will be on the top of it as well. This is now we're being told Supreme Court has also mentioned that, and as you're looking at Ehsan Mewati, Pakistani, mocked the cops, incited the mob. So remember, this is many players on social media who were inciting Hindus on one side, inciting Muslims on other to come on the streets, indulge in violence. This is social media being misused, and that's one of the reasons internet was also facing a clampdown.